What if the match that changed everything was the one nobody saw? No crowds. No cameras. No headlines. Just rain, mud, and a kid refusing to give up. Cristiano Ronaldo wasn't always the global icon we know. There was a time when his name was fading. When coaches looked the other way. When scouts stopped calling. When even he started wondering, is this the end before it really begins? But then came that game. A match buried deep in football's forgotten corners. A game that wasn't supposed to matter, but became the turning point in one boy's war against being forgotten. This isn't a highlight reel. It's the story behind the moment no one talks about, the final spark before the fire. And once you hear what really happened, you'll understand why legends are never born in stadiums filled with noise, but in silence, mud, and pain. This is the game that made them remember. It was supposed to be an easy night. Just another group stage match in a tournament Portugal was expected to breeze through. The stadium wasn't even full. The air was humid, and the commentators sounded almost bored. But Cristiano Ronaldo wasn't the type to treat any match like a formality. He stepped onto the field with that same laser focus, the same fire that had burned in him since Madeira. 20 minutes in, he felt it. Not a tackle. Not a collision. Just a shift. Like a wire snapping inside his body. He kept running. Another sprint, another cross. Something wasn't right. Then it happened. He planted his foot to turn and collapsed. No contact. No foul. Just pain. Sharp, sudden, searing through his knee. He grabbed his leg. Shouted something. The referee waved play on. His teammates didn't notice at first. Then they saw his face. That face, normally unreadable, was twisted. Not in anger. In fear. The medics ran on. He tried to wave them off. Tried to stand. Fell again. The whole stadium went quiet. Like someone hit mute on the world. Ronaldo was helped off the field. He didn't cry. Not in front of the cameras. But in a tunnel, as the sound of the crowd faded behind him, he slammed his fist into the wall. Once. Twice. Then just stood there. Breathing. The kind of breathing you do when you're trying not to fall apart. Nobody knew it then, but that moment would change everything, not just for Ronaldo, but for the sport. Because it wasn't just about an injury. It was about doubt. The kind that crawls into your mind and whispers, "What if you don't come back?" The rehab center smelled like bleach and silence. Days blended together, ice packs, stretches, physio sessions, then more ice. No screaming fans. No spotlight. Just walls. Just mirrors. Just pain. Cristiano hated mirrors now. He couldn't look at them. Couldn't face the sight of himself walking like a man twice his age. Couldn't accept the way his body hesitated. The way it refused to obey like it used to. The doctors said it would take months. Maybe a year. His age had told him to take it easy. His teammates sent messages like, "Stay strong, champ." But none of it landed. Ronaldo didn't want pity. He wanted his legs back. So he did what only he would do. He created his own schedule. If the physio said 10 reps, he did 30. If they said rest, he trained in secret. The rehab center had an unused stairwell in the back. No cameras. No traffic. He started running it every night. Every single step felt like betrayal, his knees screaming for mercy, his lungs burning. But he kept climbing. Because deep down, he wasn't afraid of pain. He was afraid of fading. Of becoming a past tense player in someone else's success story. One night, the physio caught him. "You're going to set yourself back," he warned. Ronaldo didn't blink. "I'm not coming back to be the same. I'm coming back to be better. But even he wasn't sure if he believed it. At night, when the world went quiet, he opened his phone and scrolled through old photos, goals, trophies, smiles. Then he found one. It was him, younger, with a taped ankle and bloody sock after a rough match with Manchester United. Underneath, he'd scribbled in pen, "No excuses. Only fire." He stared at that photo for hours. And finally, he looked in the mirror. Not at his body, but at his eyes. The fire was still there. Just buried. The day started with rain. Again. It always seemed to rain when he needed clarity. Cristiano sat on the edge of his bed, lacing his boots in silence. No press. No stage. Just an empty training pitch waiting outside. But something was different. He didn't feel the usual sting in his knee. No pain. No hesitation. For the first time in months, his body felt quiet. Not fixed. Not perfect. But silent enough for hope to speak. He stepped onto the field like it was his first time. Touched the ball gently. Passed to the wall. Took a jog. Then a sprint. The wind hit his face, and for the first few strides, he waited for pain to come roaring back. It didn't. So he ran again. Faster. Longer. He dribbled, spun, shot, each movement sharper than the last. Every motion screamed, "I'm back." He didn't call anyone. Didn't post about it. But the staff noticed. The physio walked out slowly, arms folded. "You look different." Cristiano smiled. "I remembered who I am." That night, the U21 team had a closed scrimmage. Coaches didn't ask, but Ronaldo showed up anyway. Asked if he could join. They hesitated. Then shrugged. Why not? He put on the bib, took his place. No expectations. And on the first touch, he split two defenders with a nutmeg and curled a shot to the top corner. The whole sideline froze. Someone whispered, "He's not just recovered, he's better." By the end of the game, he'd scored 3 and assisted 2. But that wasn't what mattered to him. What mattered was this. He wasn't scared anymore. He walked off the pitch drenched in sweat, heart pounding, muscles sore. But this time, it was the good kind of pain. That night in his room, he grabbed his notebook. No fear. No breaks. Only forward. He didn't know it yet, but scouts had heard. Whispers were spreading. Cristiano Ronaldo was rising again. And this time, he wasn't chasing anyone. He was being chased. The next morning, his phone buzzed before sunrise. Unknown number. He answered anyway. His voice was still rough from sleep. "Hello? Cristiano? It's Miguel from Sporting." Silence. "I heard what happened last night. 3 goals?" Ronaldo didn't reply. He wasn't bragging. He just waited. Miguel chuckled on the other end. "We've been patient. But we're calling you back in. Not the reserves. First team training. Tomorrow." Click. That was it. No warm-up. No negotiation. Just fact. He sat there holding the phone for a few seconds. Then he set it down gently. No celebration. No punch in the air. No shout. Just one sentence to himself. About time. Later that day, he returned to the main complex. The same building he once walked into with hopeful eyes and a stitched-up ego. This time, his steps were different. They had weight. Direction. The locker room was louder than he remembered. Laughter. Music. Banter and Portuguese slang. He nodded at a few players, some nodded back. Others ignored him. That was fine. He was used to being alone. Coach Martins came over. "You've got 10 minutes to warm up. You're with the starters today. No questions. No welcome back speech. Just orders." Cristiano liked it that way. During the drills, he didn't show off. Didn't overplay. But every pass, every run had precision. Hunger wrapped in control. Then came the scrimmage. He took position on the wing. Ball came to him. Defender stepped in. Cristiano didn't think, he reacted. One touch passed. Sprint. Cross. Goal. The entire squad paused for a beat. He jogged back like nothing happened. But inside, he knew. They're watching me now. Halfway through training, Coach Martins whistled him off. Rest. That's enough for today. Cristiano hated those words. But he obeyed. As he walked toward the bench, one of the senior players clapped a hand on his shoulder. "Good to have you back." Just 5 words. But for Ronaldo, they were everything. Back at home, he didn't sleep much. Not because of excitement, but because he had questions. What now? What's next? His notebook was open again. Don't train for a comeback. Train like you never left. He stared at the words for a while. Then underlined them twice. He wasn't just getting back in shape. He was preparing to take something. A spot. A legacy. His legacy. It was supposed to be a quiet game. Midweek friendly. No cameras. No headlines. Just a practice match between Sporting's first team and a visiting club from Spain. But for Cristiano, it was a war. Coach Martins called him that morning. "You're starting." That was all. He arrived at the stadium early. Way too early. The lights weren't even on yet. He walked around the pitch alone. Touched the grass. Breathed it in. By kickoff, maybe 200 people were in the stands. Mostly staff. A few scouts. No one big. No one that mattered, at least, not to anyone else. The game began. Fast. Cristiano didn't wait for the ball to come to him. He hunted it. Pressed every touch. Challenged every pass. 15 minutes in, he stole possession. One touch past the defender. Another around the keeper. Goal. No celebration. Just a glare into the sky. He jogged back to the halfway line, barely making eye contact with his teammates. He wasn't done. By halftime, he had 2 goals and 1 assist. People in the stands started whispering. "Who is this kid?" One scout checked his notes. Cristiano Ronaldo, again? The second half was messier. Slower. Fouls. Frustration. The Spanish team had clearly had enough of this teenage Portuguese whirlwind. In the 73rd minute, Ronaldo got fouled hard. Landed wrong. Everyone paused. He stayed down for 3 seconds. Then got up like nothing happened. No limp. No complaint. Just a smirk. And a sprint back into position. Coach Martins pulled him off at the 80th. The crowd clapped. Even the opposing coach nodded in respect. In the locker room, Ronaldo sat on the bench. Shirt off. Chest rising and falling. One of the trainers walked by. "You know someone from Madrid was here today?" Ronaldo didn't flinch. Just grabbed his towel and headed to the shower. Later that night, his notebook had one line. "If you want the world to remember, make them forget everyone else." The next morning, his phone buzzed. Unknown number. This time, he answered. A familiar voice. "Cristiano. This is Carlos. We need to talk. Madrid's calling." And that was the moment it all began again. Not with fanfare. Not with trophies. but with a match no one planned to remember. Except everyone did. Because some games don't need headlines. They write themselves into history. And this one? This was Ronaldo's. If this story moved you, even just a little, imagine how many more are still waiting to be told. Cristiano Ronaldo's journey is filled with moments the world never saw. And here, we dig them up, one by one. So if you felt the emotion, the tension, the grit, don't just scroll past. Like the video. Drop a comment. Share it with someone who needs a little fire today. And most importantly, subscribe to the Ronaldo Chronicles. Because the next moment